Hi, sixth graders. We continue in Chapter 12, History. This is Lesson 2, Chinese Dynasties. We start on the yellow bar on page 350 with the preview. Focus on the main idea. Medieval Chinese dynasties made several significant contributions to trade and technology. Let's go through the vocabulary and the places and people. Forbidden City, China, Mongolia, Beijing. The people, Wu Hao, Genghis Khan, Kublai Khan, Zheng He. And the terms, these are all the names of different dynasties. Sui, Tang, Song, Mongol, Ming. You are there. 1421. You're standing at the south gate of the Forbidden City. You're excited that your family has sent you here to be a servant to the royal family. You are one of the few people allowed inside the Forbidden City. You can't wait to explore the 9,999 rooms. Crazy. You first notice that the walled city is rectangular. After you cross a long, deep moat, you reach the brick walls surrounding the city. The red bricks glow with the color that symbolizes joy. Inside the gate, you see that the buildings, all made of wood, are coated in gold-colored paint, which is reserved for the royal family. Your attention is drawn to the yellow glazed tile roofs. The decorations in the palace are made of gold. Even the bricks on the ground shine. All of these details and ornaments have a special meaning to the history and traditions of China. You feel honored to be chosen to spend your life within the city, serving the royal family. We start with 3 dynasties. Now, a dynasty is simply a family that is in power over many generations, many years. So this would be the Sui, Tang, and Song dynasties. The Forbidden City, which still stands in China today, was built by one of the greatest Chinese dynasties. A summary of China's dynasties between the late 6th and mid-17th centuries, along with some of their accomplishments, appears in the table at the right. Before the Sui dynasty, China suffered through nearly 4 centuries of unrest. Now remember, as a century is 100 years, so this would be 400 years of unrest. In 589, the Sui dynasty reunified the country. However, rulers made harsh demands on the people. High taxes and forced labor caused the collapse of the Sui dynasty. The Tang dynasty is considered one of China's greatest dynasties. Empress Wu Hao came to power in the early years of the Tang dynasty. She was China's first female ruler. Her position was unusual. A Chinese philosopher claimed that having a woman rule would be as unnatural as having a hen crow like a rooster at daybreak. They obviously didn't deal well with having a woman in power. But Empress Wu Hao proved him wrong. She strengthened the civil service examinations. Wu Hao even included writing poetry as a requirement for high-ranking government jobs. And as a result, literature and fine arts flourished under Tang rule. Under Wu Hao, trade expanded, and China's contact and interaction with people and cultures of Central and Western Asia increased. Following the Tang dynasty were more than 50 years of warfare and corruption. In 960, the Song dynasty united warring groups and established a strong central rule. Trade provided a large source of income for the government. The iron plow improved agricultural production. More efficient methods for producing iron were discovered. Iron could now be used as body armor for soldiers and as construction material for bridges. The review question: which dynasty reunified China after 400 years of unrest. You're right, the Sui dynasty. The fact file off to the side, that contains many of the important achievements and advancements of each of these dynasties that we read about in this lesson. Under the Sui dynasty, a canal system connecting waterways was established. Grand Canal eventually will carry water throughout China. The Tang dynasty, civil service examinations bring talented people to government. Block printing allows pages to be reprinted, and paper money is first printed. Then there were 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms. Widespread use of block printing helps spread the ability to read. The Song dynasty, first military use of gunpowder, first known use of fractions, printers use movable type, first chain-driven mechanism for celestial clock. It tells the time of day, day of the month, and moon movements. Next, the Mongol dynasty. China leads the world in sailing expertise, great age of Chinese playwriting, and expert horsemanship skills. And finally, the Ming dynasty. Improvements in ceramic glazes, the potter's wheel, and high-temperature kilns produce high-quality porcelain. The Great Wall is reinforced and extended to protect against northern invaders. Next up, the Mongol and Ming dynasties. Near the end of the Song dynasty, a warrior leader came into power. His name was Temujin, and he united the nomadic or wandering groups of northern Asia to form a unified Mongolia in 1206. These groups named Temujin Genghis Khan, or universal ruler. Genghis Khan expanded his empire until his death in 1227. Terror was Genghis Khan's greatest weapon. He ordered his army to have no mercy. The greatest happiness is to vanquish your enemies, to chase them before you, to rob them of your wealth. I think that quote tells us quite a bit about what Genghis Khan is like. His army, some 110,000 men, was loyal and disciplined. Mongol warriors perfected their horsemanship skills and could shoot arrows even while riding at top speed. Most had as many as 4 horses, so that a fresh and energetic horse was always available. Genghis Khan defeated the peoples of northern China and Persia, but his sons expanded the empire even more after his death. His grandson, Kublai Khan, conquered both southern China and Burma by 1280. This conquest marked the beginning of the Mongol, or Yan dynasty. It was the first time China had a non-Chinese ruler. By 1294, Mongol power reached its height. Despite the terror that the Mongols used in their conquests, they also made improvements to the lands they conquered. They improved roads and water travel. The Mongols recognized that trade brought wealth and made sure that travel was safe for traders throughout the empire. World traveler Ibn Battuta visited China during the Mongol dynasty. Battuta described the safety of travel in China. You can travel all alone across the land for 9 months without fear, even if you are carrying much wealth. After several decades of conflict and natural disasters, the Mongols were overthrown, and the Ming dynasty came to power in 1368. At its height, the Ming dynasty ruled as many as 100 million people. There were great achievements made in the sciences and the arts. For protection, the Ming dynasty emperors continued to strengthen and add on to the Great Wall. Look on pages 110 and 111 to review the time that the Great Wall construction of the emperor's palace began in 1406. The palace was located in the heart of Beijing. Named the Forbidden City and occupied by the emperor in 1421, the palace was actually a collection of hundreds of buildings surrounded by walls that were up to 35 feet tall. only the government's highest officials could enter the Forbidden City. During the Ming Dynasty, people began to believe that China had the greatest civilization in the world. They believed that anything and anyone from outside of China should be avoided. And as a result, China entered a long period of little contact with foreigners, but not before setting out on great voyages to other countries. So how did the Mongol or Yuan dynasty show its concern for trade? Well, they made sure travel was very safe for traders. China explores. The Ming Dynasty was a time for advancement and exploration. Even before the Europeans set sail to find sea routes to the east, Chinese explorer Zheng He went westward. He led the first of 7 voyages in 1405. His crews numbered more than 25,000 men. As many as 300 ships went on a single expedition. Zheng He traveled to Southeast Asia and India. Later, he traveled to Africa and Southwest Asia. The Ming Emperor encouraged Zheng He's expeditions. He spent a lot of money filling expedition ships with riches such as gold, silver, and silk. He asked that Zheng He give them as gifts to the people he encountered on his voyages. The emperor hoped that China would be seen by others as a great and wealthy power. He also hoped that the expensive gifts would encourage other countries to send envoys to China. At first, foreign countries began to send envoys. However, the Ming Emperor died, and the expensive voyages stopped in 1433. And under a new emperor, China soon cut itself off from the rest of the world, welcoming few foreigners. The review question: did Zheng He explore west before or after the Europeans explored east? Before. Thanks for listening.